It is 8 o'clock, bang on time on a Monday evening, and I promised that I would be dealing with some results of a recently held opinion poll survey, which was conducted in Dominica in January. And pleased to present those results on behalf of CAPA, Caribbean Agency for Political Advancement, which is a private concern registered and operating in the island of Dominica, providing services throughout the world, the Caribbean and the world. And what we are mainly about is to assist with packaging politics and politicians. We do strategies, we do damage control, we do script writing. We are involved with political team building. We also work with power acquisition and the maintenance of power. We work with training in canvassing, campaigning. We do stage management of major political events. We do lectures, presentations, workshops. We conduct debates. And one of the products that we will be taking around the Caribbean and the world is the national prime ministerial / presidential debates. So we have put together a wonderful idea to implement the service and to assist countries in the Caribbean and around the world with the staging of balanced and neutral third-party debates among candidates. We hope that this can be implemented in the home of CAPA, Dominica. If not, we certainly will export the talent to other places. So that's what CAPA is about in a nutshell. The business was established in 2019 and registered as a bona fide business. And we're open for business. If anybody would like to speak with us about assisting with ideas of politics and of power, we will be more than happy to engage you. Just inbox me, contact me on social media. There are some people who are lucky enough to have my number, use it. But I'll be more than happy to work with you wherever in the world. I am the founder of CAPA. There's another director besides me. I'm the majority shareholder, and I work with people across the board in Dominica, in Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, in the US, throughout the world. So we are ready to provide you with the services that you need. We are ready to help you to acquire power and to maintain power. We are ready to help you in terms of your policy positions. We're ready to help you with your budget writing and advise, coaching on presentations. We are ready to procure your political office in a way that resembles prestige and eminence, because politics come with a particular panache, and we at CAPA know how to prepare you for that. And that is an open invitation for all parties in Dominica, throughout the Caribbean and the wider world, who might be interested in doing things differently when it comes to modern day politics. We are happy to serve you. We are open for business. Send me a DM and let's talk about it. I'm speaking with somebody in Dominica right now about doing some work on the island here in during the summer. But that won't be announced, as this one, which we just completed, was not announced. So we are always working, we are always contributing, we are always providing content, we are always giving interviews, we are always providing service. CAPA, as a business provider, is apolitical in terms of parties. We do not own a party, nor does a party own us, but we work for and with parties. And whenever we work for a party, it is private and confidential. So any political party or interest groups in Dominica and throughout the Caribbean, you're welcome to speak with us about doing business. There are other businesses that provide similar services, and we respect them all the same, but we are just saying that we would like to assist you. Certainly with opinion polling, that's, I think, is one of our best strengths, and strategy as well. So let us know whether you have work to be done, even if you may not have 100,000, 200,000, $1 million. We are flexible enough to try to work with you. So just give us a call today, contact us, and give us a chance to help package your political interest. So that's what CAPA is about. I spoke about my interest in CAPA. Of course, I have other interests in the politics of Dominica and other business concerns. So we should not conflate the two, because you can have different interests, but we just do not mix oil and water. Oil is oil, water is water. As CAPA, I'm a professional and I deal with you on a one-on-one basis. As someone who has interest in Dominica's politics, yes, I have that interest as well. And whenever that interest is being done, it's being done independently of CAPA. CAPA is a standalone independent business. We can work for any and every party in Dominica and throughout the world. With that said, CAPA commissioned and conducted a survey in Dominica in January, between January 20 and 28, just about 3 months ago. So the result is very, very on point in terms of the timeliness. Normally, survey results have a shelf life of between 3 months to 6 months, depending on the situation, because things could happen in this space to change the opinion. But for now, we believe what we're going to present to you represent what the people's views are currently, especially since nothing major has happened within the past few months to probably suggest a shift in opinion. There might be, you never know. That's why it is important to keep measuring every month, every other week. You should measure, do a survey, have this done, because guys, if you're going to do well in politics, you are to be guided by the data. No one who is serious about power and politics goes into this thing guessing and saying, well, that's how it is. No. You need to measure the terrain as often as possible to come up with the latest up-to-date information. And we at CAPA, we are willing and ready to do that for you. So I wanted to test, to find out certain things based on the comments I'd been hearing from politicians. Claims that were being made based on past performances. And I felt, well, knowing what I know, it would be better to understand what the people are saying, not to be guided by the claim politicians make. Because a lot had happened. There was major talk about reform, and there was election before reform, and there was boycott of the election, and almost power, almost single, unilaterally given to one party. So I wanted to see what Dominicans were thinking. And our company commissioned and financed the poll. We had help from a couple other people. I won't say the cost of doing the poll because, this is exorbitant, but the cost was borne by our party with assistance from one or two corporate companies. I won't mention their names right now. I don't think they would want us to do so, but we thank you for the help. And we have the results of those surveys, and I will present aspects of the results, not the entire result, because there are some things I'm going to hold back for personal and other professional reasons. We ask 19 questions. I may do half of the questions here tonight and hold back the results of some questions. Again, as I said, for private consultation, because people who want to discuss the results of the polls could talk to me. We could work something out where I could engage you at a cost, at a price, for whatever information. We did 12 constituencies, not the entire country. So the plan is to do the other 9 constituencies to see the entire picture 3 months apart. So thank you guys for jumping in. And if you have not jumped in, it's because I guess you do not want to be seen viewing. So you will view it after the live. All the same, the information will be up and accessible to you so you could peruse. The survey was dubbed Nationwide Survey on the Political State of Play in Dominica, January 20 to 28 this year. As I said, just about 3 months ago. So the information has been presented to you in a very current form. I spoke a little bit about CAPA, We are a registered bona fide business open to serve, and we're looking forward to taking care of you. Of course, politics is our business, and we pride ourselves on our experience, our credibility, and our skills. No one polls Dominica better than Kappa because we have 20 years of experience and more polling Dominica in many different ways. We won't get into that now because I know you want to understand and get some results. So that's what we are, and we are focusing on Dominica right now. It could be your country tomorrow. Grenada, St. Lucia, any country. I don't have to publicly review it, but I would be happy to share it with your party if you ask us to work for you in these countries. The people's voice guide our work. So I believe that we should be responsible enough to educate the people. And one of the major reasons why I decided to publish the result is because I've been hearing on the radio people are saying that Dominicans are not sufficiently educated. And that can be true, but it's not always true. I think Dominicans are sophisticated enough to know what they want. And the fact that Dominicans have been voting one way for the past quarter century suggests something more than just Dominicans not knowing, because we know. It is just that Dominicans know what they want, and Dominicans will do what they need to do when they believe they get what they want. And that is what the poll has showed us. As I said, we did 12 constituencies: Coliho, Granby, Maho, Monjon, Petit Savane, Roseau Central, Roseau North, Roseau South, Roseau Valley, Soufriere, St. Joseph, and Wesley. We could not have done all the constituencies in the time frame that we did the poll because, again, funding and time. The next time we will conduct polling in the other areas to see how they pan out. So although I'm giving you result which holds for the country in general, but just remember that this is partial, just on 12 constituencies. And the analysis of the result, again, I won't share all of that, but it is foolproof, and it comes with the integrity that my work has always come with, and the image that Kappa holds in terms of its seriousness as a broker in the political space in Dominica and the Caribbean, and the world by extension, having done the work in Dominica for over 2 decades. So here's some results. First question. Well, that's not the first question, but it was a question asked. Which current leader is better equipped to lead Dominica into a united and progressive future? That was the question. And I list the names of the leaders who I know are political leaders, beginning with the Honorable Prime Minister of Dominica, Mr. Linton, Mr. Fontaine. I heard of a movement by Mr. Francis for the creation of a political movement, so I had to include him in the mix. There is Mr. Ito, Bernard Ito from the Dominican Freedom Party, this young lady from another party. There's Carlos Charles from TUD, and the other options on the poll was none of the above, and we need a fresh start. I have not redacted, but taken away the results that the other candidates got, because I do not want to be prejudicial in any way, shape, or form. And I decided instead to show you what the people felt about all the people, none of the above. 8% of respondents says none of them are kind of suited. But overwhelmingly, 53% said we need a fresh start. That is more than 50% of the people who were interviewed. The next person after the 50% in terms of the popularity got 10%. I won't say who that person was, but that person was second next to we need a fresh start. And third, of course, was none of the above. Everyone else polled in single digits, and some people did not even appear. People did not see them as anything futuristic. So I wanted to share this response or this result because it ties into something that we will conclude a bit later on. So again, if you want to know where your candidate fared, let's talk. We can speak about it. Again, I'm doing business. That's my business. That's what I do for a living. We can have a conversation. But I know, and Dominicans have said what they think a future leader, or which of those guys and lady who are currently leading a movement, which of them they think is best suited to take Dominica unitedly and progressively forward. So that's one aspect of the result. Let's share some more results with you in terms of the opinion survey. Which party will you vote for at the next election? And I listed the parties that I know are existing in some way, shape, or form in unequal measures, but at least we know of them. DLP, TUD, UWP, DFP, that other party. And there was a response that says none. And there was another option which said a coalition of all opposition parties. Make note. The people overwhelmingly said none, 29%. Of course, the parties got some scores. I won't say what the parties polled and which party led, but the majority was none. And people said a coalition of all parties. 3% of Dominicans believe that a coalition of all opposition parties is the answer. I wanted to measure this because I heard otherwise. And remember, on the question before, people said we need a fresh start in terms of leadership. On this question, they are saying that a coalition of all opposition will not do it. And they said none of the parties will actually be getting their vote at the next election. Almost 30% of Dominicans. That's another aspect of the results. We're going to go to the next slide. But before we do, I should tell you that when a poll is being designed, the pollster knows what they're looking for and design questions, asking those questions and controlling for intervening variables that would influence the question to make sure that they get what they're actually looking for. And as a pollster of integrity, what you get is what you have to present. There is no sugarcoating, no changing. And I vouch for the credibility of every pollster because I know what it entails to do professional work. You don't doctor information. You can misinterpret or reinterpret, but to change results, we don't do that. So this set of results now dealt with questions 14, 15, and 16. Given a choice to vote for a fresh set of political candidates or the existing or past candidates, which or what would you do? And I gave you those responses because I wanted to give you the responses. It really continues to tell the narrative. I would vote for the existing candidates, 12% of Dominicans. I would vote for a new set of candidates, 35% of Dominicans. It wouldn't matter. I have given up on voting, 13%. That's a significant amount of people who have given up. And another group said Dominica is beyond help, 25% of respondents to that question. Now, you might ask me, why did I design the answers accordingly? Because I wanted to design them that way. If you want to go and do a poll, probably commission me to do it, I could do it for you. I will ask the questions exactly as you want them. In fact, you will approve the questions before I ask them. But I knew what I was searching, and I asked the questions in that way, and the narrative continues to build. Question 15. Should all opposition political parties join with the UWP? Yes or no? 16% of Dominicans said yes. 58% of Dominicans said no. Again, I just wanted to know because I have been hearing people representing the party and other people saying, oh, everybody should just come and make it happen. I wanted to see what Dominicans felt. And again, this ties into the same narrative that I have observed. I'm not dismissing any party. I'm just asking questions and presenting answer. At the end, I'll have a conclusion. Question 16. What are your views on the state of affairs of Dominica's progress at present? Dominica is finished. 6%. Dominica is worth fighting for 10%. I have given up on Dominica, 6%. And look at that. If the people unite, we can fix Dominica, 56%. So all is not lost. I've been saying so. I know what I do. This is what I do for a living every day, 7 days a week, and twice on Sunday. So I know how to measure and I understand how to get the information out of the people. In fact, I was in Dominica, assisting with the conducting of the poll on the field. And I was accosted by people from parties who severely abused me verbally. What you doing here? Come and help us do this and that instead of doing poll. But you need to know what people are saying, because what you're saying is not what the people are saying. And that is why that's why we did the work. And we are saying that there is hope. Dominica is not a hopeless case. But the people are saying, if the people unite, we can fix Dominica, 56%. And the slogans to the left of that response, those responses, this is what the people say, this is what the people want, this is the people's views, this is how the people feel, this is how the people see it, not how you see it or how you want it. So yes, I know there's machination taking place. People are trying to influence people as we speak, and views may change, but this is what the people think based on an independent, professional polling of opinions in Dominica. Let's give you some more information. Results for the first maybe 8 questions. And I wanted to share that with you. Again, based on 12 constituencies, you can see the gender of the people that we spoke with. 29 declared as female, 47% declared male. There's 1% fluid. And you can see the age demographic of the people we spoke to. It's all there. More people in the age, between the age 18 to 25 responded, 26%. We had 25 to 35, 18% responded, 36 to 50, 13%, 3% of 51 to 60, and 61 and up, 6%. That's how the cross-section of responses came. We see the faith base at the time, Catholic to 25%. I'm not saying that it's only 25% Catholics in Dominica now, but that's what we got when we went on the road that week. Christian 13%, Baptist 9%, Pentecostal, etc., etc., etc. It's all there. Education, primary school 16%, high school 38% of people who responded had been to high school, college 22%, university 3%, graduate, postgraduate none, and no school 1%. So the respondents were quite literate. And here are a few questions. In your view, should Roosevelt Skerrit continue to serve as Dominica's prime minister beyond this current term? Yes, 15%. No, 73%. View of individuals. Again, that does not mean it will change, but that's what people felt in their view. Number 2, do you believe the DLP should continue serving as Dominica's government past this current term? Yes, 19%. No, 67%. That is not surprising, even to the DLP, because, a blind man could see that Dominicans think that, the majority of Dominicans. But that's not all, because parties have a way of doing things to get themselves elected, and the DLP had been doing that well. So even if you see the poll saying that about them now and tomorrow they win, don't hold it against the pollster. Because things have been done and things can be done in the system, especially when you control the apparatus and the protocols of election, things can happen. I'm not accusing anybody, but my information is what we found, And if anything else happens later on, it's whatever else. It has to be looked at for what it is. For now, that's how Dominicans think. 3, rate Roosevelt Skerritt's job performance as Prime Minister of Dominica. 1% said excellent, 1% said great, 15% said good, average 38%, 33% said poor. Again, that's what we found. And the Prime Minister is a public figure. That is being done to public figures all around the world. I mean, you can go and Google any public figure right now in a democracy and see their popularity. And even a non-democracy too. You could Google Putin right now and see his public opinion. So we should be able to take it when people measure our opinion because you're serving the people. Rate the job performance of Dominica's opposition leader, Mrs. Chesma Paul Victor. 2% said excellent. 2% said good. Sorry, 2% said excellent, 2% said great, 6% said good, average 29%, poor 33%. I won't speak about certain other comments which were made and findings about the office of the leader of the opposition, because again, it might cause some uncomfortable feeling because there was a general consensus from the population in terms of the office of the leader of the opposition. I wouldn't share that publicly, but the leader should probably, of the opposition, probably should take note. Probably let's talk, let's have a conversation, or have people do the work for you and see where it is, where you are, how people think about your office, because I got some very interesting findings. All right, rate the job performance of the current job performance of the UWP. Why did I measure the UWP? They are a significant party in Dominica. Yes, they boycotted the last election, but they have maintained a presence in the political domain, and I think are about the best organized party in Dominica as we speak. Not best organized in terms of no other parties organized, but they have a presence and a structure. And I wanted to find out what people thought about them as a party right now. And the people believed that they are excellent, 3%, great, 1%, good, 6%, average, 17%, poor, 24%, not sure, 28%. So it's not all that bad because the not sure can be sure or good or somewhere there. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the not sure, I wanted to do not sure because I know they had boycotted the last election, so I wanted to be fair. So 24% not sure, 28% not sure is not a bad thing. It's close to 30%, almost close to a third. And that can be changed. Again, I'm not telling the party what to do, but that can be changed by certain things. Again, that's for the party to decide. Next question. In hindsight, what is your view on UWP's boycott of the last Dominica general election? That's what I'm asking people after the fact. 2% said effective, 22% said ineffective, 7% said it helped our democracy, 25% said I'm not sure, 6% said it helped the DLP, and 17% said it was a mistake. Again, I wanted to ask people because I was hearing party surrogates saying different things. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what Dominicans think about the last boycott of the last election. And the answer is there. Again, I'm not working for UWP as we speak. I am open to work with any party, but I have to ask information of public institutions, and they are a public institution. I think, as I said, one of the more prominent ones. Because what we have in power today calling DLP, as I've always said, it's not quite DLP. It is a power sharing arrangement that has collapsed on a DLP base. So it is called DLP by recognition, but it's not really DLP in all its complexions. The UWP is like the most established single party on island, and you've got to give them the respect where that is concerned. Did you vote at the last general election? Yes, 35%, no, 33%. That can be easily checked to see the percentages of people that voted. Less than 30%, less than a third of Dominicans voted, and it's easy. My poll found that, to be the case. I wanted to share this with you because it was important. It is telling a story that Dominicans are saying that some are pretending they are not hearing and instead pandering with their own partisan interests, believing and hoping that it might break for them. I didn't call any parties. I just say it generally, and it cannot be applied to any party. TUD, the other party, Freedom, Labor, slash whatever party, workers, it can be applied to any party. Information like that is being offered to you gratis can be used to help you strategize. But even if you have the information and you cannot apply it, it makes very little sense because I'm really holding back a lot. I'm holding back the gist of the results. So if you want assistance with your politics, let us talk and we will use the data and probably do fresh data as well to see how possibly we can help you. I may choose not to work with you or for you. I may choose to do it, but I decided to put this in the public because you need to tell the public that we know what the public is thinking, because some people sometimes put out misinformation and disinformation, and at the end, the people are hurt. That is what Dominicans are saying. That's what they want. And if I were you, well, let me not say what I would do if I were you. Let us give you some more results. And I promise you, I'm not going to have this drawn on for a very long time. I kind of wanted to spend about an hour with you, and that's what I think I will most likely do. Do you believe an entirely new set of people should enter Dominica's politics, and will you support them? Again, if you observe the way I ask the questions, there is a pattern, there is a narrative, there is a sequence, there is a rhythm, and the responses are completing the story. Totally, 16%. Yes, 17%. Of course, 7%. No, 2%. Maybe 9%. Only if they inspire hope. 30%. Guys, you can conclude how you would like. But that is the responses to that question. Totally, yes. Guaranteed. Yes, 17%. So that is 37%. Totally and yes. 7%, of course, add that to that, you're close to 40% going. No, maybe, but the other responses is only if. So the totally yes and of course, and the maybe, based on your strategy, can work for people who come. Anyway, I wouldn't say too much because I'm not strategizing live. But the answer is there for you to see. My narrative is being spelled out in the responses of the people. Let me give you some more results. I asked about the biggest issue in Dominica at that time in January, and I gave 20 options because you cannot just tell people what they think. You have to give them a prompt and they respond to the prompt. So the biggest issue at the time when we did the poll was electoral reform, 34%, jobs and the economy, 23%, nasty business, 14%, unemployment, 7%, housing and CBI tied, 6%, and you see the rest, education, child sexual abuse, 22%, government corruption, 2%. So the corruption is not a big issue. People know it is happening. People want to talk about bread and butter, reform, and nasty business somehow got a big judgment. I'm not sure why, but it was right up there. And things like agriculture, crime rate and violence, sports did not show up somehow, music and entertainment, protests against government, tourism. That was the responses that we got. I decided to present them to you as we got them. Now, you may argue and say, well, that is not that. That is, go and do your measurement and present it. That's what we found. So that's what we actually decided to give. And as I said, I'm holding back lots of the information, but here's what we concluded. The people spoke loudly, very loudly, I think, in the survey, especially when you know what you're doing and you carve the questions to get the answers that you want to get with no bias. And what I believe is that there is incumbency fatigue, and what that means is people who have been in office for so long on both sides, not just the governing side. In fact, both sides are governing. The opposition and the majority are in government. So the former opposition party was in government for how many years as opposition? And the present majority party has been in government in the majority for how many years? Currently, we have an opposition that is comprising people who ran independently. So they say. So let's say no party controls the opposition. So they say. But the people who are in opposition are still part of government. The leader of the opposition is a government function. And what we found with the results of the polling is that people are fed up with both sides in Dominica right now. They do not really care about continuing with the party in power, in the majority, but they prefer the party in the majority. And again, of course, they do other things too, to help them to win. But the people are the ones who are voting. Even if I force you to vote and I decide, man, no, enough. I really have a compelling purpose not to vote. I will vote for the other party. But people do not believe that the gamble is worth it to move from what is in now to put what is not in and what has been trying to be in for so long. That's what I got. Again, not criticizing anybody. And I'm not saying that those who have been trying to get in for the past quarter century will not get in. They can. Again, it depends on how willing they are to try to get in and the strategies employed. I don't know. I'm not speaking for them. I'm just presenting what I found. So the incumbency fatigue is a problem. And it's a factor not just for one party, for the two very established parties. Freedom Party is established as well, but Freedom Party has not been contesting elections. I'm not sure who gave them this very wise idea, but that has been a mistake for the past 2-3 elections. Again, that is for the Freedom Party to work out. Memoon last, people are tired with the politicians and the political status quo on both sides of the spectrum. The people, I believe it can be said, are at a very precarious point politically right now. Because people are looking at their livelihood, survival. And they think that their survival is on the line and will stay with what is keeping them surviving, merely dangling carrots, because that's where I'm going to feed my children tomorrow. I'm not sure what's going to happen if I take them out. There is also a sense of hopelessness, which permeates the Dominican sphere. I got that on the ground, and those who live on the island too can attest to that. People feel hopeless. And it's not good. But as I said, all is not lost, because the results suggest that people who present not an alternative, not a way, a plan, a blueprint for people-centered progress, and are genuine about it, can mount a campaign to that fact and present credible people who are fresh and new, who are polite and who are across the board, who can build coalition. I think the people will see them favorably. I have made a number of other concluding statements. I also had detailed information on all the constituencies in terms of the responses in those constituencies. But again, as I said, I will stop sharing now, and I will deal with you if you would like me to speak to those issues to a group, privately, to your party, privately, as a seminar, anywhere the case might be. That is what I do, and I'm open for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the presentation. Let me just stop sharing them now so we could see whether there is any question. I probably may not entertain them, but if they are there, I might just do it. Or any concern that anybody raised. And if you have concerns or if you have any disagreements, as I said, don't fight me. It's my figures, my information that we got from the people. Go do yours and tell me what you find. And let's compare yours and mine, because it is open for anybody with the expertise to do, but not everybody can design a poll the way that people who are trained to design polls can. But still go ahead and do it if you prefer to do it on your own, or have us do it for you. We'll do it for you, and we will see how the information differ from then and now. All right. I'm going to take a few questions. And the first one comes from Chris Boguno, my dear friend, brother, and soldier. What does it mean by citizens saying on a high percentage that they want something new? Is it new candidates from other parties? Is it a new party? Or is it just a new government? If a new party or new people of an existing party is formed, will they vote this current government out? I don't think a party is necessarily what people want. People just need a different kind of a vibe. The same old, the 1970s and 80s politics, which is still being played in Dominica. And the old dossier from Tony Astafan that said reform should not happen, you're doing madness. And all of that is past old stale politics, no matter what you think. And that is what being regurgitated, being referred to all the time. People don't want to hear that. People know that the government majority is not kosher. Don't tell them what they know. Tell them what you want to do for them, Chris. So it's not necessarily about a new party, although a new platform could help. It's about being serious about representing the future with a vision that's going to inspire people. And that's a thing that I had been saying for the past maybe half a century. Not half a century, half a decade, Chris. Privately, but people were not listening. So when I decided to do it publicly, I became enemy number one. I did the poll again 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and people are still saying that. So I was not wrong with what I tried or attempted to do. And I hope I have given you enough to think about. I cannot really tell you everything because I am working with some people who have interest in the politics of our country, and the creator willing, we hope a different kind of package would be able to be presented to Dominicans to give them a kind of different taste of how politics probably can be done differently. And any party that is existing in Dominica now can do it. It doesn't have to be, as I said, a new party, but certainly new blood, new people, or the same old people with a totally revolutionized way of politics. The old politics of the past will not win in Dominica. That is why the incumbent has been in office for almost a quarter century. Watch what they have been doing, Chris. They are not excellent. They're not doing a fantastic job at governing, but they are excellent at winning and messaging. And I will leave that there. All right. Do we have another question? Because that was a really fantastic question from Chris. Diero says, very interesting. Thanks, Alex Powell. Bruno, you're welcome, my dear sister, comrade, and friend. It's nice that you're here to take in the presentation. I am just trying to react to a couple of comments. Normally, I don't really take live comments, but I just wanted to do that today. Alvin Thomas says, representation, vision, inspiration. I will agree with that. Alvin Thomas is a fox. Not an old fox, a fox. He's a gentleman that I admire, greatly respect. He understands what's happening in the space as well. He may not have polled Dominica, but I know he was in Dominica recently. And people like that, because they are involved in the social space in the way that he has been as a trade unionist and as a learned individual, as a politician too, as a party man, he knows what I'm speaking about and he understands. So Thomas, Alvin, thank you for chiming in and for sort of lending your voice to the message tonight. That's Alvin Thomas, my dear friend. Chris again says, would Kappa be also willing to help the incumbent as far as business? If so, why would you help, especially knowing you are interested in politics and supports a particular party at this juncture? All right, Chris, good question. We cannot be prejudicial with the business that we do. And you also remember that I said Kappa may not always work with anybody who asks, but Kappa is in the business to make money. And if there is something that we as a company can do for any party, including the party that claims to be the party in power, the DLP, in terms of information finding, we can do that. I may not necessarily work as a strategist. Probably they don't need me because they have how many strategists. But if it's a matter where we can put our people on the ground to get information for a party, any party, I think that's okay, Chris. It's fair game. I'm not going to analyze it for you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to give you the information. So I expect after this program for somebody from the party to call me and say, look, Alex, we need to know why so many things are happening in Roseau. And that I'll do that for Melissa if she calls me Chris. You cannot be prejudicial when you're in the business of politics. So as a company, yes, we would get the data. But to work for the Labour Party now, I'm not saying never, but I don't think they will employ me anyway. So let's not even worry about the hypothetical. Okay, Chris? When the request is made, we will see what happens. But it's one love for all the parties. And as a true professional entity, we are willing to work with all. All right. Let me see whether we have any more comments before we move on to close up. And if we have no more, that's what I'll do. All right. So okay. What if there's no election reform? Does the poll taken suggest that what was gathered of the people can outsit the incumbent? Boy, there's hypotheticals again. And I think there is reform. Reform is going to come out. As I said in the statement at the beginning of the year, that reform is going to reflect the wishes of one party or probably one individual. Because one major party decided to stay out of the parliament. So when that thing goes into the parliament, who's going to talk against it? Who's going to vote against it? Who's going to prevent it from becoming law? And the reform was done single-handedly, almost one-sidedly. Yes, there was widespread consultation, but it was controlled consultation. People could speak, yes. But what was said against what the people who did it want is going to be implemented? There's going to be a bill that's going to be presented in Parliament, and there's going to be a law that says, here is the reform you wanted. And that reform is not going to favor a party that is trying to unseat the incumbent, because the incumbent had full control of the consultations. There was not pre-consultation before. Yes, there might have been questions asked by the main person doing the consultant. But the way in which this was done, guys, come on, there is advantage to the incumbent, clearly. So I do not hold my breath to think that this is going to create an even playing field. In fact, reform is not meant to make one party win or lose. Reform is meant to make democracies thrive. So the people who are selling reform as, they're afraid to give it because they know they're going to lose, were making a mistake, because they were telling the people who are controlling the process to make sure they do not lose if they do it. So I do not hold any major hope about what is going to come out as reform. A bill is going to come through the House and a law will emerge, and it's going to be the law, electoral law. I cannot preempt what is going to be in that law, but it will be a law that will favor more and more of the incumbent desires. So, Chris, my findings are findings for now. When elections come and all the other variables are put into the mix, my findings may disappear. I expect it to, because I do not control what is going to happen tomorrow. I'm just speaking for now. And the hopelessness that people feel is because their wishes are not being met. They want to, but they are not being allowed to because things are standing in their way. And people will come and say, Alex said that how many months ago, a year, 2 ago? The data that I have now is useless in the next month or two. Unless if I do more data and do more data. Polls do not last forever. The shelf life of a poll is between 3 months to 6 months. And that's it. So we are discussing in the time. That's why we must continue polling, continue speaking. So, Krishno, do not hold this result against me and do not measure it 6 years from now or a year from now. It has to be now. And later on, we must need new sort of information to guide our discussions. Alvin Thomas says, I missed the earlier part of the conversation, so I'm not sure whether you specifically address the young people engagement in the political, not from the form of the second that see now and have. No, the focus of the poll was not to find out young people's views on anything in particular. It was to see where everybody is, and the majority of people who responded are young people between 18 and 25. Thomas. So that probably can say something about it. And when we have our meeting, which I can publicly say we have been trying to arrange, we probably can go over some of the data. I'll be more than happy to share with you at no cost, Alvin, because we are buddies. So there is something that probably can be seen, but the work was not specifically to find out what particularly young people are going for. If you want to find that out, we can do the poll, we can do a survey to find that out. I think something else had flashed on the screen in terms of a question from Alvin, but I didn't quite get it. So probably I can put that back up to see what it was, so I could deal with it. I came on it. Okay, so that was the same thing. Okay, so I came in on the conversation late, so I'm not sure whether you addressed the involvement of the young people in the political process, not the CO that they currently gravitate to. Yeah, I didn't go for the CO test, but I am sure if we do the CO, it's not going to be the ideal response. Based on what we have gotten, is not going to suggest that young people just want CO. No, young people in Dominica want progressive policies as well to direct and to build a future on. I think the overwhelming majority of young people would respond accordingly, based on what I've seen. Yes, some would say CO, but not a great percentage of them. I think Dominican young people are ready to fly, but who is going to pilot? That is the big question. All right. I'm getting to the point where we're almost an hour in, and I'm beginning to think that we should wrap up. Any more comments that I can look at quickly before we wrap up? All right. So if there is none, let me just close up by saying thank you guys for being here. Thanks for tuning in for the CAPA release of our recent work. I hope it made some sense to you. I hope you felt that I tried my best to be as neutral as I could, and I hopefully succeeded in doing so to an acceptable degree. We all know that I have interest in the local politics. I mean, if I didn't have interest, I would not have been involved in trying to create a different kind of movement, platform, conversation. And I did so on 2 occasions. So I certainly do have interest, but my interest is not camouflaging my professionalism. So the work that I presented was presented so I let the public know that we know what you want, contrary to what some politicians and parties tell us. So I wanted to do that, just to let the public know that we have you. And people have been saying that the public is being kept in the dark, so I could not keep the public in the dark. Yes, you may have wanted me to share more information, and I didn't, because I felt I have to hold certain things back. When I was a rookie, I just gave everything out, and people just use my skills and my sweat and win elections and still criticize me at the end of the day. So I know better now. I don't do that. But I wanted to give enough information to let the people know that I got you, we got you, we know what you're asking for. Those who want to represent you should know what you are asking for and work with you, not try to work for themselves against you. Because no serious party which worth its salt would stay away from an election, even if it is a questionable one, in the context of the last election, believing that that was a strategy that's going to help Dominica's democracy or help you. It certainly was not a workable strategy, a progressive strategy. And I have said so, and I will continue saying so until the day I cannot say it anymore. It was a mistake. It was wrong. Something should have been done. Find a way. And if a way had been hammered out, I believe maybe the incumbent might have still won, but not with an imposing majority as they do have today. And that is my presentation from Kappa's perspective. I hope you did enjoy. If you are interested in us working for you, contact me privately. We will arrange something and let you know what we can do. But thank you so much, guys, for being here. And I'm looking forward again to speaking with you next week, Monday. Not for more results, but for the ongoing conversation on my Politics and Power series. It was good having you. Have a good one.